Listen to me. I need you to hear me from your soul today. You are the blueprint. You keep looking outside yourself for the answers. You keep waiting for somebody to hand you the plan. But I came here to tell you, you are the plan. You are the design. You are the strategy. You're the beginning and the end of your breakthrough. Stop waiting for permission. Stop looking for validation. Stop chasing someone else's dream, someone else's timing, someone else's path. You were born with a blueprint inside you. It's written in your pain, your passion, your problems, your potential. See, people think blueprints are just on paper. But yours is built in blood. Yours was built in the nights you cried and still showed up the next morning. Yours was built in silence when nobody clapped, but you still kept grinding. Yours was built in the dark when nobody saw your effort, but now they see your results. You want success? You want elevation? Then act like it. Build it. Be it. Because I'm telling you, you are not broken. You are building. Don't tell me you don't know what to do. Look at your life. That's your manual. That's your map. You survived things people would have drowned in and you're still here. That means you have the formula. And don't get it twisted. The blueprint doesn't mean it'll be easy. It means you'll know it's possible. It means you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be purposeful. You're not meant to follow footprints anymore. You're meant to leave them. You are the blueprint. Walk in it, own it, be it. You keep saying you don't know what to do. You keep looking for somebody to save you, to show you the steps, to hand you the keys. You keep scrolling, watching videos, buying courses, asking everybody around you for advice. But I came here to tell you the truth. You already have the answers. See, the problem isn't that you don't know. The problem is that you don't trust what you know. You don't trust your instinct. You don't trust your gear. You've been programmed to believe that someone smarter, someone richer, someone louder, someone more famous knows what's best for your life. But I need you to hear me right now. Nobody knows your life like you do. Nobody's walked in your shoes. Nobody's cried your tears. Nobody's endured your storm. So why would you put your future in their hand? There's a voice inside of you, quiet but strong. It's been speaking to you for years. Every time you got knocked down and still got up, that was it. Every time you had nothing but kept moving, that was it. Every time you said, I can't live like this anymore, and made a change. That was your voice. That was your truth. But you ignore it because it doesn't come with flashing lights. It doesn't shout. It doesn't beg. It just whispers. It keeps going. It says more. And you drown it out with noise, with other people's expectations, with fear, with doubt, with distractions. Let me tell you what most people never want to admit don't trust themselves, so they delay. They procrastinate. They think if they wait long enough, the perfect time will come, the perfect opportunity, the perfect sign. But deep down, they already know what they're supposed to do. They're just scared of what happens if they do it and fail. Or worse, if they do it and succeed. Because success requires responsibility. It requires you to be accountable. It requires you to show up even when you're tired, even when you're scared, even when it's uncomfortable. You want to know why I say you already have the answers? Because the answers live in your experience. You've been through too much not to know. You faced things that should have broken you. You've lost people. You've lost jobs. You've lost time. You failed. You've been rejected. You've been doubted, but you're still here. And that means you've learned. That means you've learned. That means you've grown. That means somewhere inside you, the blueprint already exists. It's like this. You don't plant a seed and expect it to bloom the next day. It takes time, water, sunlight, but the seed already knows what it's supposed to become. The code is in it. The design is built in. It's the same with you. The vision for your life, your calling, your potential is already in you. The question is, are you watering it? Or were you walking around with your seed buried deep, waiting for someone else to give it permission to grow? You think people like me had everything figured out when we started. No, I didn't need a perfect plan. I just needed to move. I just needed to believe that what was inside me was enough to start. That's it. You don't need all the pieces. You don't need every step. What you need is the courage to listen to yourself, to honor the fire in your belly, to respect the dream in your heart, even when nobody else gets it. Some of you are sitting on $1 million ideas, but you won't take the first step because someone told you it was stupid. Someone laughed. Someone said, that's not realistic. And you believed them. You gave them power over your blueprint. You handed them the pen and let them write your story. But I'm telling you now, take it back. Take the pen. You write it. You edit it. You live it. Everything you need is already inside of you. You got the passion. You got the pain. You got the experience. You got the lesson. So why are you looking for a blueprint when you are the blueprint? Start listening to your own voice, not the voice of fear, not the voice of doubt. No. Not the voice of that teacher who told you you'd never be anything. Not the voice of that parent who gave up on you. Not the voice of the ex who said you weren't good enough. Listen to the voice inside you that refuses to give up. The one that wakes you up at 3 a.m. The one that knows you're destined for more. The one that dreams even after everything you've been through. You don't need approval. You don't need permission. You need action. You need belief. You need faith in the fact that if you were meant to be average, you wouldn't have this fire inside of you. You wouldn't feel restless. You wouldn't be chasing answers. You wouldn't be listening to this message. So stop searching. Stop stalling. Start trusting. Stop stalling. Start trusting. You already know what you need to do. You already have what it takes. You already have the answers. I need you to understand something real right now. You don't need to copy anyone. You don't need to wish you were in someone else's position. You don't need to envy what someone else has. Because your life, your exact story, is already the design you need. Everything you've been through, every high, every low, every setback, every sleepless night, every tear, every win, every failure, it was never random. It's all part of the blueprint. You keep trying to erase parts of your past. You keep trying to forget those hard seasons as if they weren't necessary. But I'm here to tell you that those moments weren't wasted. They were instruction. They were the tools that were shaping you. They were breaking the parts of you that didn't serve your purpose. What? They were strengthening the pieces of you that needed to carry the weight of your calling. You didn't just go through pain for the sake of pain. You went through it because your purpose required it. You think the blueprint is in a book, in a podcast, in some millionaire's morning routine. Nah. The blueprint is in your own blood. It's in your own history, the way you grew up, the way you survived, the way you adapted, the way you had to figure things out when there was no backup plan. That is your design. That's the strategy right there. You just haven't stopped to look at it. Every scar on your life tells you something. That betrayal, that taught you how to recognize truth. That loss, it taught you how to value time. That failure, it taught you how to rebuild. You want to fast forward through your pain, but I'm telling you, your pain is the foundation of your progress. You wouldn't be who you are without it. You've been through situations that molded you in silence. While everybody else was celebrating wins, you were in the dark. You were struggling. You were grinding. And now you got wisdom that no degree can teach. You've got endurance no motivational quote can give. You've got strength that didn't come from comfort. It came from surviving the fire. That's your design. When architects build a blueprint, they base it on purpose. A library doesn't look like a hospital. A stadium doesn't look like a school because function determines form. So if your life looks different from everybody else's, it's because your purpose is different. Stop trying to make your blueprint look like somebody else's. It was never meant to. You're not them. You don't have their calling. You don't need their path. You weren't born with the silver spoon. That's exactly why you're the one for the job. Because you had to grind for everything. You had to learn how to hustle, how to fall and rise again. You didn't have someone holding your hand. You had to figure it out on your own. And that's why you're dangerous now. That's why you're powerful. Because you know how to create something out of nothing. You know how to endure when others quit. You know how to move when you're tired. You know how to believe when nobody claps for you. That's the real blueprint. That's the kind of design no textbook can replicate. And let me say this, don't let anyone shame you for where you came from. Don't let them make you feel less because your journey wasn't polished. Because I promise you, the people with the messiest stories usually have the deepest lessons. The people who've been broken the most often carry the strongest breakthroughs. The people who've struggled the longest usually hold the keys to the biggest success. You didn't grow up with support? Good. Ooh. Now you know how to motivate yourself. You didn't have money? Perfect. Now you know how to stretch every dollar and hustle with intention. You failed? Excellent. Now you know how to rebuild when everything falls apart. You didn't quit. That's the point. The blueprint was never about avoiding problems. It was about becoming the kind of person who could overcome them. That's what your life has taught you. But here's the problem. You've been so focused on your mistakes, on what didn't work, that you haven't looked at what actually built you. You're looking at your past like a prison sentence, when it's actually a degree. You got a PhD in survival. You got a master's in making it through storm. You know what it's like to be overlooked and underappreciated. Still keep going. You know what it's like to show up with nothing and still give 120%. So why are you acting like you're lost? You've already been through the training, the fire, the failure, the loneliness. That was your boot camp. This chose you. And now you're more equipped than you think. You just have to shift your mindset. Instead of seeing your life as a series of unfortunate events, see it as a system, a carefully laid out design that's preparing you for what you've been called. Look at your story. Look at where you've been. Look at what you've overcome. Look at what you've had to carry. That's your proof. That's your plan. That's your power. Don't ignore it. Don't downplay it. You think because it wasn't glamorous, it wasn't valuable? Let me tell you, some of the strongest foundations are built in silence, far from the spotlight, far from the crowd. Just because nobody saw you grind doesn't mean the blueprint isn't there. I've talked to people who made millions. And guess what? Their biggest breakthroughs didn't come from success. They came from failure, from pressure, from pain. That's when the clarity comes. That's when the growth happens. And when I look at you, I don't see broken. I see built. I see someone who has been molded, tested, and prepared. I see someone who's been walking around thinking they're behind, when in reality, they're right on time, because everything they went through was part of the process. You want to change your future? Study your past. It's all there. The patterns, the lessons, the warnings, the strategies. Life has already given you the blueprints. You just didn't know how to read it. But I'm telling you now, it's time to go back and gather what life already taught you. Why did you survive that season? What did it teach you about your limits, about your resilience, about your focus? Why did you struggle with rejection? Maybe because you weren't meant to fit in. You were meant to build your own lane. Why did they walk out? Maybe because you were depending on people who were never assigned to your destiny. Why didn't the easy path work for you? Maybe because you're built for a bigger one. You are not random. Your life is not random. The chaos had purpose. The hurt had instruction. The silence had depth. The lessons were written all over your journey. It's time to stop trying to escape your story and start embracing it. You are the only one who has lived your exact life, felt your exact pain, seen what you've seen. That means you are the only one qualified to build what you were meant to build. There are things only you can do, people only you can reach, solutions only you can create. But it starts with recognizing that your life is not a mistake. It's not a detour. It's designed perfectly imperfect, exactly what it needed to be. And I don't care if you come from nothing, because I've seen people who came from nothing become everything. I don't care if they counted you out, because I've seen the overlooked become the overachievers. I don't care if your path was messy, hard, lonely, because I've seen pain become purpose and suffering become strength. I've lived it. And if I can walk in my blueprint, so can you. You sitting here waiting for a sign, waiting for a moment, waiting for someone to tell you it's your time. You're waiting for the world to clap for you before you even step on the stage, waiting for approval, waiting for validation, waiting for somebody to tell you, and now you can begin. But I came to wake you up, to shake that thinking right out of you. Greatness does not wait. Greatness doesn't ask for permission. Greatness doesn't stand in line and hope someone opens the door. Greatness walks in and says, I'm here. You keep looking around like someone's going to hand you the green light, like somebody's going to show up with a stamp and say, approved. But let me ask you, who gave the greats their permission? Did Muhammad Ali ask for approval to call himself the greatest? Did Kobe wait for somebody to say he could shoot the game winner? Did Oprah wait for people to like her before she built her empire? No. They moved, they acted. They believed before anybody else did. And that's what made the difference. You want to be remembered? Then stop waiting to be accepted. You want your name to mean something? Stop trying to fit in. You want to do something the world's never seen? Then you got to be willing to do it without applause, without backup, and without a cheering section. Some of y'all won't take a step unless 10 people say it's a good idea. You ask your friends, your family, your co-workers, and when they don't validate it, you don't move. But listen to me, the world will not give you permission to be great. That's your job. The truth is, most people won't see what you see. They won't believe what you believe. They weren't given your vision. They weren't built with your fire. So why are you expecting them to understand your calling? It wasn't meant for them. It was meant for you. And if you keep waiting for other people to be okay with your dream, you're going to die with it still inside you. Let me be real. I had to give myself permission. I had to stand up and say, Eric, go, speak, create, change lives. Nobody came and gave me a trophy. Nobody said, Eric, now you're ready. I had to walk into rooms where I wasn't invited. I had to speak when nobody was listening. I had to grind when nobody was watching. And now everybody sees the success, but they didn't see the lonely nights. They didn't see the rejection. They didn't see the doors slam in my face. They didn't see the moments I had to look in the mirror and say, oh, let's go, even if nobody claps today. That's the difference. See, average waits. Greatness acts. You're trying to feel ready, but you'll never feel ready. That's the lie. Ready doesn't exist. What exists is the decision. The moment you stop playing small, the moment you stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable, the moment you say, oh, this is who I am, this is what I do. And I'm not asking anyone for permission to be it. Some of you are talented. You got brilliance just sitting inside you, waiting. You could launch that business. You could write that book. You could inspire millions. But instead, you're scrolling through social media, comparing yourself to everybody else, thinking, they've got more followers. They look more successful. Let me ask you something. Did you come to copy or did you come to create? Because if you came to create, then nobody has to approve you. Your work will speak for itself when you start doing the work. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, but what if I fail? What if you succeed? What if that one decision changes everything? What if you stop waiting and start walking? You've been waiting for the right time. Let me give it to you. It's now, not tomorrow, not next month, not next month. Money or more money or more confidence or more support. Nah. Because if you won't move without permission, you'll be stuck forever. And I refuse to let you be stuck when you've got greatness in you. See, it's not that you don't have what it takes. It's that you don't believe you have what it takes. You don't trust your own voice yet. You don't trust your own strength. But how long are you going to ignore the pull in your life? How long are you going to pretend you're just average when everything in you knows you're not? That dream that keeps coming back, that fire that keeps waking you up in the middle of the night, that's not random. That's not a hobby. That's your calling. And you don't need a permission slip to chase it. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's worth it. The moment you stop waiting and start building, everything changes. When you stop needing approval, you become dangerous because now nobody can control your pace. Now nobody can stop your flow. Now you're not operating on their schedule. You're on your own time, your own rhythm, your own destiny. I remember the first time I stepped on the stage and nobody clapped. Nobody shouted my name. Nobody knew who I was. And I could have let that stop me. I could have told myself, oh, maybe I'm not meant for this. But instead, I said, keep talking. Because my validation doesn't come from applause. It comes from obedience. Obedience to the gift. Obedience to the assignment. Obedience to the mission that was put in me before anybody else even saw it. And you got that same mission, that same gift, that same calling. But you keep silencing it because you're afraid of judgment. You're afraid of being misunderstood. You're afraid of failure. But I promise you, staying still is more painful than any failure. Because when you fail trying, you learn. But when you sit still in fear, you rot. You decay. You lose the sharpness. You lose the fire. And I'm telling you now, you were never meant to rot in your potential. You were born to release it. If I had waited for people to clap for me, I'd still be waiting. If I had waited for a perfect opportunity, I would have missed my purpose. Some of you need to stop waiting for a door to open and start building your own door. Build it out of rejection. Build it out of silence. Build it out of all the times they said, no. You don't need keys when you can build your own. You've got to be willing to look crazy. You've got to be willing to move when nobody gets it yet. You've got to be willing to start with one follower, one client, one product, $1. Because the people you admire, they started just like that. They didn't wait for everybody to believe. They moved. And eventually the belief followed. You think legends were born with permission? You think greatness was handed out like candy? No, it was taken. It was earned. It was carved out of discomfort, built with discipline, carried with conviction, and it's your turn. It's your time, but only if you decide. Only if you stop letting fear rent space in your heart. Only if you stop waiting for someone to tell you you're enough and start realizing you always were. You don't need to beg anyone to see your value. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth. You don't need to campaign for support. When you show up and do the work, the results will be the loudest thing in the room. People may doubt your beginning, but they can't argue with your becoming. They may ignore your start, but they'll respect your consistency. They may not clap now, but they'll study you later. So go, move, take that step, write that post, start that project, build that brand, launch that dream. Stop waiting for the world to give you a green light and give it to yourself. You weren't born to wait. You were born to lead. You weren't made to follow forever. You were made to create paths. Everything you need is already inside you. All the answers you've been searching for, all the permission you thought you had to earn, all the validation you thought you had to wait for, it's already there. You are enough. You are capable. You are ready. And if nobody else will say it, let me be the first. You've got permission to be great. Let's get something straight right now. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to make it right for you. Nobody's going to wake you up in the morning and force you to chase your dream. And I know that's hard to hear, but it's real. I'm not here to baby you. I'm not here to sugarcoat. I'm here to tell you what will set you free. You've got to stop pointing fingers. You've got to stop blaming your parents. Stop blaming the system. Stop blaming your circumstances. Stop blaming your trauma. You got to stand in the mirror and say, if it's to be, it's up to me. Period. That's called accountability. I don't care what happened before. I don't care who hurt you, who abandoned you, who doubted you, who set you back. You might not have caused all the pain in your past, but now you're responsible for your future. That's what grown folks do. That's what winners do. They don't wait for justice. They create it. They don't wait for a second chance. They make the most of the one they've got. You want to level up? Own it all, not just the wins. Own the losses, own the laziness, own the excuses, own the decisions you've made, the good ones and the bad ones. Because here's the truth most people won't tell you. The moment you blame, you give your power away. When you say it's their fault, what you're really saying is, they're in control of me. When you say, I can't because of what they did, you've handed over your keys. You put the steering wheel of your life in someone else's hands. And I don't care how hard it's been. You can't let anyone else drive your destiny. Let me be clear. Accountability isn't about guilt. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about owning your power. It's about saying, I did that. I made those choices. I played a role in the outcome. And because I accept that, I now have the power to change the outcome moving forward. That's growth. That's strength. That's the mindset that separates average from elite. When I was homeless, when I was eating out of trash cans, when I dropped out of high school, I had every reason to blame everybody else. I could have said, my father wasn't there. I could have said, a life isn't fair. But blaming wasn't getting me fed. Blaming wasn't putting a roof over my head. Blaming wasn't giving me purpose. So I had to look in the mirror and say, Eric, this is on you. If you want out of this, it's you who's going to have to climb. That's what accountability does. It gives you the grip to climb. And let me tell you something. The climb is hard, but you'll never make it if your hands are full of excuses. You've got to drop the blame so you can grab the tools. You've got to stop saying, why me? And start saying, now try me. You are going to make mistakes. That's not the issue. The issue is whether you learn from them or hide from them. Do you take ownership or do you point fingers? Do you say, that's on me, or do you play the victim? Let me help you out. The victim doesn't win. The victim doesn't build a legacy. The victim doesn't rise to greatness. The owner does. The one who looks their past in the face and says, I see you. I accept you, but you don't define me. Some of you keep running from your past. You keep pretending those bad choices didn't happen. You're ashamed, so you bury them. But what you bury grows in the dark. If you don't own your past will own you. It'll show up in your relationships, in your business, in your confidence. So face it, not to be haunted by it, but to learn from it, to grow through it, to build from it. People keep saying, I can't move forward because I made too many mistakes. Change is real, but it starts with owning what's real. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. You can't fix what you pretend isn't broken. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants the spotlight. We live in a world where people post everything, every move, every win, every workout, every moment they grind. But I came to tell you something different. I came to tell you what the real ones do. I came to tell you what the greats understand. The work that changes your life doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in silence. It happens in the dark. It happens when nobody's watching, when nobody's clapping, when nobody's clapping, when nobody even knows your name. You keep thinking visibility equals value. You think if people don't see your grind, it doesn't count. But let me tell you the truth. What you do when nobody's watching is who you really are. What you do in the dark is what shows up in the light. Anybody can shine for a moment. Anybody can fake it for a post. But it's the one who builds in silence that lasts. It's the one who wakes up at 4 a.m. and works in private, who becomes unstoppable in public. You don't need to tell them what you're doing. Let your results speak. Let your transformation speak. Let your new mindset, your new habits, your new discipline speak. Don't post it, be it. Don't preach it, live it. The real grind doesn't need validation. It needs consistency. It doesn't care about likes. It craves execution. You want to know who's serious? Watch the one who disappeared for 6 months and comes back a whole new version of themselves. Watch the one who get quiet, who stops talking, who goes ghost on social media because they're in the lab, they're locked in, they're not distracted, they're not performing, they're becoming. And when they come back, they don't come back the same. See, people get so caught up trying to prove they're working that they forget to actually work. They want credit before they get results. They want recognition before they build anything worth recognizing. But you gotta understand, the grind is lonely. The grind is quiet. It's not glamorous. It's waking up when your body says sleep. It's practicing when nobody's paying attention. It's writing, studying, training, growing when nobody gives you a trophy. Nobody says thank you and nobody cares. Yet, let me be real with you. The reason some people never reach their potential is because they're addicted to attention. They can't stand the silence. They can't stand being unseen. So they settle for applause instead of legacy. They settle for being liked instead of being legendary. But greatness doesn't need an audience. It needs obedience. Obedience. Obedience to the vision. Obedience to the routine. Obedience to the process. Every single day, even when there's no noise, no hype, no recognition. You want to be different? Be okay with being hidden for a season. Be okay with not being understood. Be okay with building while others are bragging. Let them talk. Let them show off. Let them post their highlight reels. You just keep grinding. You just keep planting seeds. Because when the harvest comes, it'll be undeniable. When the results hit, nobody will be able to ignore you. You won't have to say a word. Your work will do all the talking. Stop trying to go viral. Go valuable. Stop trying to impress. Go improve. Stop trying to be seen. Go be solid. Build something that doesn't need filters, that doesn't need followers, that doesn't need likes to exist. Build something that lasts. You know what's crazy. Some of the most powerful moments in your journey will never make it to a screen. The nights you break down but keep going. The mornings you show up even though you're exhausted. The sacrifices you make that nobody sees. The decisions you make that nobody understands. That's the real content. Understand? That's the real content. That's the raw, gritty, unfiltered truth of greatness. And don't get it twisted. I'm not saying hide forever. I'm not saying you can't ever share. But if you're more focused on looking successful than actually becoming successful, you've already lost. If your motivation dies when the attention dies, You weren't hungry enough in the first place. If you only grind when eyes are on you, then your why is weak. The ones who win long term, they understand that silence is power. They understand that privacy is peace. They understand that the most important part of your journey isn't what you post, it's what you practice, it's what you repeat, it's what you refine behind closed doors when the lights are off and the world isn't clapping. I need you to ask yourself something right now. Would you still be grinding if nobody ever saw it? Would you still train if nobody recorded it? Would you still study if there was no praise at the end? Would you still show up and put in the work if there was no instant reward? Because that's the test. That's the real proving ground. What you do in silence reveals your truth. What you do without attention reveals your discipline. What you do without applause reveals your purpose. And if your purpose is real, if your dream is real, then you'll build even when it's quiet. You'll grow even when it's lonely. You'll sacrifice even when nobody gets it. And let me say this, silence doesn't mean you're failing. Silence doesn't mean you're falling behind. It means you're focused. It means you're locked in. It means you're not trying to look like you're winning. You're actually winning deep down where it matters. Some of you are in a season where it feels like nothing is happening. You're doing the work, but there's no spotlight. No confirmation, no confirmation. And you're wondering, is it even working? Let me tell you, yes, the soil doesn't shout when the seed breaks open. The roots don't make noise when they grow underground. But the growth is real. The change is real. The preparation is real. Just because the world can't see it yet doesn't mean it's not coming. You gotta be patient. You gotta trust that silence is part of the process. You gotta understand that what you're building, understand that what you're building now is your foundation. And foundations don't need focus, they need faith. Faith, they need strength. And that strength is built every time you show up in silence and do the work anyway. Let your silence scare them. Let your absence make them wonder. Let your consistency speak so loud that when you finally step back into the room, they can't believe the level up. Because when you build in silence, when you grind in secret, when you evolve in private, you don't return the same. You return undeniable. That's why I tell people, don't announce your moves, execute them. Don't talk about what you're going to do. Do it. Let the success speak. Let the glow up speak. Let the results speak. And trust me, when it's time, they'll listen. When it's real, they'll notice. And when it's earned, they'll respect it, even if they never say it out loud. You're not for the noise. You're for the impact. You're not for the hype. You're for the legacy. And legacy is built in silence. Legacy is built when you show up again and again, but no guarantee, no promise, just hunger and purpose, and work ethic doesn't need a crowd to keep moving. So go silent, go build, go become. And let your life speak when the time is right. You keep telling everybody your next move. You keep announcing your plans. You keep posting about your goals, your dreams, your hustle. Every day, you're putting it out there. I'm working, I'm grinding. But let me ask you a question. Why do you need to talk about it so much? Why are you so focused on people knowing what you're about to do instead of just doing it? Because real ones don't need to announce the grind. Real ones live it. They wake up and go to work. They don't talk. They don't explain. They don't perform for the camera. They build quietly, consistently, relentlessly. When the work is done, it speaks for them. You don't have to say anything when your success walks into the room before you do. You don't have to convince anybody when your results are undeniable. But see, most people aren't built like that. Most people would rather look like they're winning than actually win. They want the credit before the sacrifice. They want the audience before the practice. But the truth is, the grind is not glamorous. It's not sexy. It's not for show. It's lonely. It's hard. It's sad. It's repetitive. It's silent. And that's why most people don't make it, because they can't handle the silence. They can't handle putting in the hours when nobody's watching. They can't handle sacrificing fun, sleep, comfort without a single clap, without a single good job. They want trophies before they've even competed. They want praise before they've earned respect. But you don't rise to greatness because people cheered. You rise because you kept showing up when nobody did. Some of y'all talk too much. Every time you think about doing something, you rush to tell the world. You post it, you tweet it. You speak on it like it's already done. but there's no weight behind your words. There's no results to match the energy. And now you're addicted to the feeling of progress without actually progressing. You think talking about the plan is the same as executing it. You think vision boards, hashtags, and morning motivation is the same as putting in the work. It's not. Let me tell you something. Words are cheap. Execution is everything. You don't need a spotlight. You need discipline. You don't need an audience. You need action. When I was grinding, I wasn't on stages. I wasn't on YouTube. I wasn't going viral. I was in the library reading every book I could find. I was waking up at 3 a.m, pushing carts, going to school, raising a family, getting my JED, studying for my degree. Nobody saw it. Yeah. Nobody recorded it. And that's why it worked, because I wasn't doing it for them. I was doing it for the man in the mirror. I was building something that didn't need to be seen to be solid. That's what you got to understand. The foundation is always underground. The strongest part of the building is the part nobody sees. And the same is true for your life. The moments that really shape you, the ones that build your mindset, your toughness, your skills, your habits, they don't happen in front of a crowd. They happen when you're alone, when you're tired, when you don't feel like it, and you do it anyway. You want them to respect you? Don't ask for it. Don't demand it. Go earn it. Let your consistency be your proof. Let your discipline be your defense. Let your work ethic be your witness. Because the ones who truly grind, the ones who really build something meaningful, they don't need to talk. Their lives speak loud enough. Some of y'all think silence means nothing's happening. But that's not true. Silence is where the real work gets done. Silence is where the seeds are planted. Silence is where you level up without distraction, without noise, without ego. Silence is where your future self is born. But you've got to be okay with not being seen for a while. You've got to be okay with disappearing. You've got to be okay with going ghost on social media, missing out on parties, being misunderstood, being overlooked. That's part of the process. Everybody wants to glow up, but nobody wants to go dark. Let me tell you something about success. It doesn't show up with fireworks. It doesn't knock on your door with a marching band. It creeps in while you're grinding. It shows up quietly. And then one day you wake up and realize you're not the same anymore. You've evolved. You've elevated. You've become what you said you would. And you didn't have to say a word. It's not about the world knowing your moves. It's about the world feeling your growth. They'll feel it in the way you talk, in the way you walk, in your discipline, in your presence. And you won't have to convince anybody anymore because your entire being will reflect the work you've done. And that kind of power, that kind of authenticity, it only comes from silent seasons. Oh, I know it's tempting to show off. I know it feels good to get likes, to get validation. But you gotta ask yourself, what are you really building? Are you building a moment or are you building a legacy? Are you chasing attention or are you chasing mastery? See, attention fades. Applause dies down. But mastery, that stays, that lasts, that gets passed down to your kid, your community, your people. And you don't build mastery on Instagram. You build it in the quiet. You build it in the dark. You build it when nobody's there but you and the mission. So I dare you, go quiet. I dare you to stop explaining. Stop announcing. Stop posting about it. Go build. Go read. Go train. Go improve. Stack your wins in silence. Stack your growth in silence. Stack your power in silence. And then when the moment comes, you won't have to step into the spotlight. The spotlight will find you because they always find the ones who earned it. You keep giving your energy to people who don't value it. You keep pouring yourself out for people who wouldn't even give you a sip if you were thirsty. You keep letting people speak into your life who don't even believe in themselves. And you wonder why you're tired. You wonder why you're tired. You wonder why your fire's low. You wonder why you can't get traction. It's because you're wasting your energy on the wrong people, the wrong environments, and the wrong conversations. You gotta learn to protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. Your energy is your fuel. It's your power source. It's the force behind your ideas, your focus, your habits, your decisions. And if you keep letting the wrong people drain it, you'll never have enough left to build the future you were born for. Some of y'all are trying to carry people who don't even want to walk. You're dragging folks who've already decided they're comfortable being stuck. You're sacrificing your progress trying to convince people to care. Let me tell you something. You're not a battery charger for other people's laziness. You're not a therapist for folks who don't want healing. You're not responsible for fixing people who refuse to change. I'm not saying don't love them. I'm not saying don't support. I'm saying stop giving access to your inner circle to people who don't bring peace, focus, and alignment to your life. If they're not feeding your vision, why are they at your table? If every time they speak you feel smaller, not stronger, why are you still listening? You got to start evaluating people by the energy they bring. Not the titles, not the history, not the potential, but the real present energy. How do they talk when you mention your dream? How do they move when you start leveling up? Do they encourage your growth or do they throw shade when you change? You can't give access to folks who treat you like general admission. You can't let people live rent-free in your mind when they're not paying with respect, support, or purpose. Every text, every call, every conversation, it costs energy. If you keep spending it carelessly, you're going to bankrupt your spirit. You need boundaries. Not because you're selfish, but because you're serious. Serious about your time. Serious about your focus. Serious about your goals. And not everyone deserves to come with you to the next level. Some people were only meant to be part of the old chapter. But you keep trying to write them into your future, and they keep stalling your growth. Some of you are in environments that drain you before you even get started. You walk into rooms and feel smaller. You talk to people and leave feeling more confused, more doubtful, more exhausted. That's not alignment. That's not support. That's sabotage. And the worst part, you've normalized it. You've gotten used to being around people who don't see you, and you've started lowering your own light just to make them comfortable. But I'm telling you, the people who are meant to walk with you won't shrink you. They won't dim you. They won't drain you. They'll sharpen you. They'll challenge you. They'll remind you who you are when you forget. They won't be intimidated by your ambition. They'll fuel it. That's the kind of energy you need around you. Not just friends, not just company, but people who match your fire. You've got to protect your mornings, protect your nights, protect your nights, protect your mental space. Don't start your day scrolling through drama. Don't end your night talking to people who only gossip, complain, and doubt. That negativity, it's a virus. And your goals can't survive in a toxic climate. Be intentional about what you let in. Music, words, opinions, emotions, even your own thoughts. Guard your spirit. Speak life over yourself. Don't let broken people convince you you're too much just because they're not enough for themselves. Don't let small-minded people trick you into playing small. Protect your belief. Protect your voice. Protect your why. And stop explaining yourself to people who have no vision for your life. You don't owe anyone an apology for leveling up. You don't have to feel guilty for protecting your peace. You don't have to carry people who are committed to being stuck. You're not rude for creating distance. You're responsible. You're not arrogant for cutting off distractions. You're focused. And some of the distractions aren't people. Some of them are your own habits, your own thought patterns, your own comfort zones. Sometimes you got to protect your energy from the version of yourself that still wants to procrastinate, that still wants to people please, that still wants to avoid the hard work. You got to call that part of yourself out and say, oh, we're not doing that anymore. We're not moving like that anymore. We're built for more. You only get so much energy in a day, so stop wasting it defending your dream to people who don't even have one. Stop spending it trying to explain your moves to people who aren't even on the court. So stop letting fear rent space in your vision. Your energy is sacred, so treat it that way. Because at the end of the day, your energy is your edge. Your energy is what separates you. And if you lose it chasing people, explaining yourself, or surrounding yourself with distraction, you'll never make it to the level you're destined for. You've got to protect that energy like it's gold. Because it is. You waiting on motivation. You waiting to feel good. You waiting for that perfect morning where the alarm goes off and you leap out of bed, fully energized, completely focused, ready to dominate the day. That day ain't coming like you think it is. Because motivation is a feeling, and feelings are solved. Feelings lie. Feelings lie. Feelings change. But discipline don't care how you feel. Discipline gets up anyway. Discipline doesn't ask if you're tired. Discipline doesn't need a good mood. Discipline shows up rain or shine, broke or blessed or loved or lonely. It shows up. That's the difference between people who talk about success and people who live it. The talkers depend on how they feel. The doers depend on what they decided. The talkers wait for a spark. The doers become the spark. They move when it's boring. They move when it's hard. They move when it hurts because they're not driven by hype. They're powered by habits. You got to get to the point where your work is no longer tied to your emotion, where your hustle doesn't require hype, where your purpose is stronger than your pain. Because if you only grind when you feel good, you'll never be consistent. And if you're not consistent, you'll never be great. You don't build empires off mood swings. You build them off mastery, off showing up every single day, even when it's cold, even when it's quiet, even when nobody claps for you. Motivation is what gets you started, but discipline is what keeps you going when the fire burns out, when the crowd goes home, when nobody reposts you, when the likes are gone, when the lights are gone. When you're exhausted, when it's been months and you still don't see results. That's when discipline steps in and said, we go anyway. I remember being homeless. I remember waking up behind buildings, pushing shopping carts, having nothing, no motivation in sight. No YouTube videos, no speeches, no inspiration, just cold mornings and long nights. And I had to make a decision. Either I stay here, stuck, waiting on a miracle, or I discipline myself to dig out. Every day, one page at a time, one step at a time, one class, one book, one grind session at a time. Nobody held my hand. Nobody called to check on me. I had to show up. Tired, hurt, broke, alone, but I showed up. And I kept showing up not because I was inspired, but because I was committed, because I was tired of being stuck, because I knew the old me had to die if the new me was going to live. Some of y'all been starting and stopping for years. Every time life punches you in the mouth, you hit pause. Every time you're feeling shift, you take a break. That's why you never break through, because you're trying to build consistency on the back of chaos. You're trying to plant seeds, but keep digging them up every time it gets tough. You can't grow that way. You can't only go hard when life feels good. That's not success. That's luck. And success ain't built on luck. It's built on showing up when the hype is gone, showing up when it's just you and the grind, when it's you versus your laziness, your excuses. You verse that voice in your head that said, let's just chill today. That's the enemy. And the only weapon that beats it, discipline says, this is who I am now. Not a temporary version, not a weekend warrior, not a new year, new me. No, this is forever. This is my identity now. I don't need a deadline to go hard. I don't need a crowd to push me. I don't need a move to move. I am locked in, period. Discipline is doing what you said you would do long after the move you set it in has left. You were fired up when you made that goal. You were pumped when you set the vision. But where's that energy now? Where's that fire now that's inconvenient? Where's that passion now that nobody's watching? Real ones don't need perfect condition. They create progress in imperfection. They build muscle in discomfort. They create wealth in silence because they master discipline. They've trained themselves to obey the mission, not the mood. You've got to fall in love with repetition. You've got to fall in love with structure. You've got to fall in love with the schedule. You got to learn to find peace in the process, not just the payoff, because the payoff might take years. And if you can't love the process, you'll quit before the reward shows up. People say, I'm not a morning person. So what? Be one anyway. Train yourself. Discipline doesn't care what your natural default is. Discipline builds new defaults. You don't wake up disciplined, you build it. You train it like a muscle, like a weapon, like a skill. You teach yourself every day to keep your word, not just to others, but to yourself. You told yourself you were going to wake up and work out. Did you? You said you were going to read every morning. Did you? You promised you lock in and stop scrolling for hours. Did you? Because every broken promise chips away at your confidence. Every time you let yourself off the hook, you weaken the warrior inside you. But every time you keep that promise, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, you build power, you build trust, you build legacy. Discipline is freedom. It sounds like restriction, but it's the opposite. Discipline gives you the freedom to live on your terms, to dominate your field, to outlast your circumstances, to rise above emotion and move based on principle. Motivation is a feeling. Discipline is a decision, and decisions, when repeated, create transformation. When you become a person of discipline, you don't chase results, you attract them. You don't hope for progress, you create it. People start looking at you different. They start wondering how you're so consistent, so sharp, so strong. They start calling it talent, but they didn't see the reps. They didn't see the early mornings, the late nights, the missed parties, the lonely grind. That was discipline, baby. That wasn't talent. That was intentional repetition. And discipline isn't just about showing up for work or school. It's about how you think, how you speak, how you treat people, how you move when nobody's watching. It's a lifestyle. It's in your tone, your presence, your habits. It's the way you protect your time, the way you protect your mind. It's how you honor your name when temptation show up. It's how you respect your future even when your past tries to call you back. You want to be unstoppable. Learn to love discipline. You want to be remembered? Let discipline build your legacy. You want to change your life? Forget how you feel. Remember what you decided. And don't stop. Don't pause. Don't flinch. You say you were going to do it, so do it. So one day motivation will leave you. But discipline will carry you across the finish line. Everybody wants freedom. Everybody wants to move how they want, live how they want, earn how they want, wake up when they want, drive what they want, go where they want. Go where they want, but nobody wants to do what it takes to earn that freedom. Let me break it down to you plain and simple. Discipline is the price of freedom. Without discipline, you are not free. You're a slave to your impulses, a slave to your excuses, a slave to distractions, bad habits, and comfort. Real freedom, it don't come cheap. It comes with structure. It comes with consistency. It comes with making decisions today that set you up for tomorrow. People think discipline is a prison. They think it's rules and routines that hold you back. But I'm telling you, it's the opposite. Discipline is what unlocks your potential. It's what separates the average from the elite. It's what turns dreams into reality. Anybody can talk about what they want. Anybody can want to be successful. But what are you doing daily, consistently, even when you don't feel like it? You can't let your feelings drive the car. If you only do it when it's easy, you'll never grow. Discipline is when you do what you said you would do after the mood you set it is gone. That's the difference. That's what builds character. You think Michael Jordan felt like practicing every day? You think Serena Williams woke up every single morning excited to train? No. But they did it anyway. Why? Because champions are built in the dark, not just under the lights. Discipline don't care how you feel. It cares what you choose. Some of y'all got more talent than you know what to do with. You got the vision. You got the creativity. You got the ideas. But you lack one thing, consistency. You start strong, you talk big. But as soon as it gets boring, as soon as it gets uncomfortable, you quit. And that's why your life stays in circles. That's why you're always starting over, because you haven't learned how to sustain. If you want to become the person you see in your mind, it's not going to happen in a week. It's not going to happen off motivation. It's going to take daily action, daily effort, daily grind. You don't need more hype. Not forgetting no more. You need habits. You don't need more inspiration. You need execution. You need a schedule. You need routines that are non-negotiable. If it's not in your routine, it's not real. If it's not real, if it's not consistent, it's not power. Discipline isn't sexy. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's quiet. It's gritty. It's doing the right thing when no one's clapping for you. It's waking up early when your bed feels good. It's turning off your phone when distractions feel better. It's saying no when everything in you wants to say yes. That's the work. That's the grind. And that's what builds a life of real power. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Show me your habits and I'll show you your future. It's that serious. You can pray for it. You can cry over it. You can wish for it. You can wish for it. But until you show up every day, even when it's hard, even when you're tired, even when nobody's watching, it's just a dream. Some of y'all are so gifted, but your life doesn't reflect it. Not because you're not capable, but because you're not consistent. You keep breaking promises to yourself. You keep pushing things to tomorrow. You keep letting your mood make decisions that your mission should be making. You can't live like that and expect success. You can't build greatness on excuses. You build it on discipline. You want financial freedom? Then discipline your spending. You want mental freedom? Then discipline your focus. You want spiritual growth? Then discipline your time in prayer and purpose. Everything you want is on the other side of discipline. It's not about grinding until you burn out. It's about creating rhythm, routine, and structure that supports your vision. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time is a trap. The time is now. Start now. Show up now. Build now. Discipline says, I move even when I don't feel it. Discipline says, I do it because I said I would. Discipline says, my dreams matter more than my comfort. You've got to kill the version of you that keeps quitting, the version that wants to sleep in, the version that keeps making excuses. That version is robbing your future. That version is costing you time, money, peace, and power. That version is the enemy within. You've got to get up every day and make a choice. Either I listen to that voice and stay stuck, or I override it and grow. You're not going to be perfect. Nobody is. You'll fall. You'll slip. But discipline doesn't mean never failing. It means getting back up again and again. It means staying locked in on the vision, even when life gets noisy. It means refusing to negotiate with your lower self. Discipline is commitment with a backbone. It's loyalty to your future, not your feelings. When you do the hard things now, life becomes easier later. But if you keep doing the easy things now, life will be harder later. That's the trade. That's the exchange. Discipline is the long game. It's the compound effect. Little decisions repeated over time that lead to massive transformation. One workout doesn't change your body. One productive day doesn't change your life. But one habit done daily, that rewires your brain. That rebuilds your confidence. That creates momentum that nothing can stop. And listen, you're not going to feel like it every day. That's normal. But champions aren't controlled by moods. They're controlled by mission. You got to get to a place where your standard is higher than your mood, where your discipline shows up even when motivation disappears. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you're building trust. Every time you show up when it's hard, you're proving you're serious. Every time you follow through, you're casting a vote for the version of you want to become. That's the blueprint. That's the method. Brick by brick, day by day, your life is a reflection of what you've been doing consistently. If you're not where you want to be, it's not because of luck. It's not because of talent. It's because of patterns of thinking, patterns of action, patterns of discipline, or the lack of it. And the good news, you can change that. You can start building new patterns today. You can start writing a new story, not with emotion, but with effort. Don't chase motivation. Chase mastery. Chase excellence. And excellence isn't an event, it's a habit. It's a decision you make every day. I will show up. I will grind, I will grow. I will not stop. I will not give up. I will build the life I see in my spirit, one disciplined step at a time. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is a messenger. Pain is a signal that something needs to change, something needs to shift, something needs to move. Most people try to run from pain. They numb it. They deny it. They distract themselves with comfort. But what they don't understand is that pain, when embraced, can become the most powerful fuel you've ever known. If you use it right, pain doesn't break you. It builds you. The problem is, most people waste their pain. They let it make them bitter instead of better. They let it make them victims instead of victors. But I'm telling you, the most successful people you will ever meet, the ones who dominate in life, who rise above the average, who refuse to settle, they all have one thing in common. They turned pain into power. They didn't let it paralyze them. They let it push them. You've got to learn how to use it. Don't just survive it, harvest it. Take every tear, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every moment of rejection, and turn it into fire. Turn it into purpose. Turn it into a reason to never go back to that place again. I don't care what happened to you, what they said, what they did, what they didn't do. You can use it. You must use it. Because if you don't, you'll carry it. And when you carry it, it weighs you down. It clouds your vision. It makes you scared to trust, scared to try, scared to move. That's how pain paralyzes you. And that's exactly what the enemy wants. A generation full of talented, gifted, brilliant people who are too hard to move, but not you. Not anymore, it happened. It shaped you, but it doesn't define you. You have the power to take the worst day of your life and make it the seed of your greatness. That pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation. That loss wasn't a failure. It was a foundation. That trauma didn't come to end you. It came to awaken you. Some of you are waiting for healing to begin to work. You're waiting to feel whole before you chase the dream. But listen, the healing doesn't come before the work. The healing comes through the work, through the movement, through the discipline, through the decision to keep going even when it still hurts. You don't wait to feel strong. You become strong by choosing to keep moving, broken and all. I know what pain feels like. I know what it's like to be abandoned. I know what it's like to cry yourself to sleep. I know what it's like to feel invisible, like nobody cares, like nobody understands. But I also know what it's like to stand back up. I know what it's like to fight for your life, to grind through the tears, to believe in your worth even when the world doesn't. And I promise you, that version of you, the one that kept going when it didn't make sense, that's your real power. You think people respect the win? No, they respect the bounce back. They respect the comeback. They respect the resilience. Anybody can celebrate when it's easy. But who are you when life hits back? Who are you when the pain knocks the wind out of you? That's where your legacy is built. That's where your character is forged. Pain introduces you to a version of yourself you've never met. A version you didn't know was there. A deeper focus, a greater hunger, a new level of gratitude, a relentless drive. That's the gift pain brings, but only if you face it. Only if you look it in the eye and say, I see you, I feel you. But you will not stop me. You got to stop running from what hurt you. Start asking, what can I learn from this? What strength did this force me to build? What lie did this expose? What truth did this reveal? When you start asking the right questions, pain becomes your coach, your teacher, your trainer. Pain teaches discipline. Pain teaches patience. Pain teaches humility. You don't learn how to survive in the sunshine. You learn in the storm. You don't build muscle in comfort. You build it under pressure. And every painful moment, every sleepless night, every time you felt like quitting, but that was growth. You didn't even realize it, but you were getting stronger, quietly, silently, when nobody saw you. That's when greatness is formed. People want the glory, but they don't want the grind. They want the spotlight, but they don't want the scars. But you've got the scars. You've got the story. You've walked through fire and you're still standing. Don't you dare waste that. Don't hide your story. Don't minimize your pain. Don't pretend it didn't happen just to make others comfortable. Use it. Speak from it. Use it. Speak from it. Build with it. That's your goal. Some of the greatest leaders, speakers, creators, entrepreneurs, athletes, they didn't come from privilege. They didn't come from peace. They came from pain. And that pain made them hungry, made them focused, made them unshakable. They didn't want the pain, but they learned to use it. And let me be clear, using your pain doesn't mean you enjoy it. It doesn't mean it didn't break you. It doesn't mean you're not still healing. You're not still healing. It just means you refuse to let it have the final word. It means you took what tried to bury you and you built something with it. It means you took the ashes and created art. You took the rejection and made it your reason. That's power. You've got to get to a place where you can say, it hurt, but it helped me. Where you stop resenting the past and start extracting the lesson. Where you stop blaming life and start building life, because nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to save you. Nobody's going to carry you through this. You have to rise. You have to decide that your story is not over, that your pain is not your prison. It's your platform. And some of you, you've been through so much you think that's a weakness. But I'm telling you, that's your edge. That's what separates you. The fact that you've been to hell and back and you're still breathing, that's not a coincidence. That's evidence. You've got purpose. You've got something to do, something to say, something to build. So build it. Let the pain sharpen you, not shatter you. Let it wake you up, not wear you down. Not wear you down. Let it make you bold. Let it make you unstoppable. Every time you feel it creeping back, every time the doubt hits, every time the memory resurfaces, don't sink. Use it, channel it, grind with it. Speak with it, move with it, speak with it, move with it, because you're not broken. You're battle tested, you're not weak. You're wiser, and you're not done, you're just getting started.